stage. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming and deciding to spend your Friday evening with us here. This is our Super Stellar Friday, and it is super, and it is stellar, and it's Friday. As a teacher, that means a lot more than you would know. So I teach high school up at Belmont High School. I teach STEM stuff. I teach astronomy, aviation, course called STEM, engineering, computer programming, and STEM stuff. And I am the senior educator here, part-time. I've been working here for 25 years, and I enjoy it a lot. And I hope that you enjoy the evening. We have what I call a quadruple header. We have our special presentation. I'll introduce to you our speaker in just a moment. Then we have our tonight's Sky Show. So about 10 minutes-ish, 10 to 15 minutes after our presentation here, we'll go into the theater and have a Tonight Sky Show talking about what can you see in, of all things, the night sky. And it's good to do it in the theater because it's cloudy outside. So usually part of our quadruple header is telescopes with the New Hampshire Astronomical Society outside. They bring all sorts of telescopes, reflectors, refractors, Rich Cassegrains. And it's a real treat to look at the celestial delights through a variety of telescopes. But tonight, that piece has been clouded out. But rain or shine, clouds or clear, we have Ask an Astronomer. A couple of you have dropped by, but we have an astronomer here on hand to answer your questions about telescopes, anything related to astronomy, observational astronomy that you might have. So if you happen to have a telescope in your basement, in your attic, in your garage, needs to be dusted off, taken out of mothballs, bring it on down next Super Stellar Friday, which I think is December 5th. Okay, and then, but tonight, again, there's all kinds of things, planispheres. Mike is our astronomer on duty tonight, and he'll show you the stuff that he has if you want to chat with him. So tonight we have a special speaker, and we have the planetarium show, and we have Ask an Astronomer. Any questions about that? Any answers? All right. Well, hey, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you my new friend who we just met and had a nice chat. So this is Aaron Jones, A-A-R-O-N, and I was telling him I have a student, A-A-R-Y-N. Kind of weird, but you know, that's what parents do these days. You know, I have like 5 Aiden in my classes. They all spell different. Anyway, so Aaron Jones is, we kind of planted him. We've got some plants here, and if you can see anything, there's a lot of wires and keyboards and such over here. There's a lot of electronic stuff hitched up to plants, and Aaron makes music from biology, you know, particularly plant type biology, and he obviously is going to tell you a little bit about how he does it and demonstrate how it all comes about. And so please give a warm welcome to Aaron Jones. Uh-oh.
So, yes, so my name's Aaron, and I made a presentation. Um, what you heard at first was this plant, this philodendron, playing one of my synthesizers. And I let it go for a little while and do its thing. What's always exciting about this is I truly have no idea what it will play. It makes my job thrilling because it's great when you're in front of a room of people and it just doesn't do anything at all. It's very helpful, but luckily it warmed up and it played. So basically what's going on here is, as you can see, I have some specialized equipment that is just registering electrical impulses in the plants, right? Changes in, or micro fluctuations, we call them, very small changes in the electricity of the plant over time. And that's all measured and then kind of converted into useful musical information, which we'll get more into later. But it's the same technology as a lie detector in the way that it's tracking electrical changes in the plant. So in case you don't know, a little brief information, but plants use sunlight to split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, which produces electrons. And just like in humans and other animals, that internal electricity powers everything from nerve signals that trigger movement to impulses that regulate heart rhythm. So like in humans, mammals, plants also are using electricity to communicate throughout the plant, right? So that's what we're listening to, so to speak, with these two nodes. Next. Whoops. Oh, yes. I wanted to mention a little bit this fellow, Cleve Baxter. Does anyone recognize this name? In the 60s, in early CIA lie detector training or sort of exploration, he did a bunch of experiments with this technology in plants and observed that this same phenomena, that you could measure and follow changes in electrical resistance in the plant. But he noticed that if the plant was harmed or even threatened with harm, it would cause changes in the readings of the plant. People have been unable to reproduce this in a sort of scientific laboratory environment, but this was his observation, and he wrote a couple books about it. Even going so far as to say plants feel pain, understand affection. They were, affected by things going on around them. So there is a level of what's happening here that is not fully understood, right? And so, but we can experience some of it, and that's kind of what I'm interested in. Even when he brought open flame into the room, the plant changed in how it was reacting on the polygraph tests. And there were anecdotes too about lawyers using plants hooked up to lie detectors as witnesses on trial. And when the alleged murderer comes into the room, the plants go crazy, and they're trying to convince the jury that this was proof of guilt. So this is another interesting kind of historical use of this technology. So now that we kind of know what's going on, I'll play a little more. There's some pictures of plants. The musician in me, I wanted that to resolve. Kind of waiting to see if it was going to get, it did, but not when I thought it was going to. So, what did, I wanted to ask you, I don't know, what did you hear? Or what do you notice or feel? Between those two, and if it's nothing yet, that's okay, because there's gonna be more information and more music, but any thoughts so far? Yeah.
I see it wiggled me a little bit.
It wiggled you a little bit? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It wiggled me a little bit too. That's what I'm always hoping for. A little bit of wiggling. Yes.
Do you find that sometimes they cooperate a little more than other times? Like they're saying to you, no, I'm not doing this.
Yes, yes. And we'll see. Next is the snake plant.
Mhm.
And that one tends to be temperamental.
And
Thorny.
does it matter where you put those probes?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I put them here so you can see. I think it does matter. There's certain places where it's, it's more active than others.
A little more sensitive.
Yes, yeah, there's more going on. And especially things like this, I'm trying to find that spot, yeah.
Yeah.
Try taking this whole thing and putting it outside when it's cold, how they would respond.
That's a good question. I've done it outdoors, but it wasn't cold. So we may have to try that this winter. Yes, yeah, and to see how it changes,
It seems to me that the plant is getting cold, it's kind of like us, it sort of like shrinks in and it's kind of not moving too much,
Yeah, maybe less active.
hunkering down.
Yeah, I'll have to try some winter.
So what have you noticed that makes it
changes, activities on light changes, eating Miracle Grow.
Right, whispering sweetly, right, yeah. I do think that after watering, they tend to be more active and, I noticed, so as I was preparing this, I had the plants in my studio, my music studio, which is pretty dark. And, for a day or so, they didn't get a lot of light and they really started to do a lot less, so I thought I better give them some time in the sunlight before the big show. So so what we've got here is, I kind of have these slides backwards. We're gonna do it this way. So a little bit more about what's happening musically here. The plant or the changes in electricity in the plant, are used to control this synthesizer. It's making that sort of theremin-like sound. And so what we're hearing is the plant controlling the pitch, right? The notes, the high and lowness of the music. Also the rhythm. It chooses when to play and for how long to hold the notes. And this is all sort of extrapolating data from the electrical changes that are constantly going on. And when something moves a little bit, it bumps out a signal to change the pitch or the rhythm. And also timbre, the sort of tone quality. I'll turn it on again just to demonstrate. Now, of course, if I increase the sensitivity of my reading, I tend to get a lot more information. So I'm gonna crank it up and see if there's more going on. Now, timbre is that kind of plant. So those are kind of the musical elements that the plant is in charge of, right? And so then I wanted to back up here. We can listen to what is the kind of raw output of the reading from the plant, the raw electrical impulse. And so this is kind of before it gets musicalized. It's going to be a very different sound. So first we'll do the philodendron. Let's see, this is what we've been here. Do you hear the changes of pitch are very subtle? It's going down a little bit. So it's those small changes that we're kind of registering and amplifying, making into bigger changes. There are a few layers to the sound, which are illustrated here visually. The main thing we are hearing is that low fundamental frequency, right? But there are all these what we call overtones above it, and those are changing too. They're sort of lending this buzzy quality to that sound. got lower. So for comparison, let's see what the snake plant will do. I'm gonna try smaller leaf. I want to see if it dives again. It dove really low and now it's sort of steadily climbing up. Yes.
Well, I was just thinking about, similarly to the way the plants respond to the people that attack them or that enter them, whatever. They respond to music, and that's like a kind of a common thing that people play music for plants and they notice that plants that are hearing either like ragas and sort of like spiritual music, that they tend to flourish, and when they're played like death metal and like discord and dissonance, they don't flourish so well. And so I was wondering if the plant actually is also responding to what it's hearing, and maybe like this elevation in frequency is like a response to a stressful noise.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's like stressing itself.
Yes, so like the-
Yeah,
getting a
yeah,
little more agitated.
yeah, more agitated.
Yeah.
I do find that the more I play, the more music starts to happen, the more active they get. It seems that way. I can't prove it, but so now we've got the snake plant. I should mention too, the lights are also connected to the plants, so when they're flashing, it's the plant, triggering its impulse. Okay, so now we're gonna do the snake plant and see what the mood is. recording it, letting it play along with itself a little bit. Every time I think it's gonna end, it's got one more note for it. Yeah, that was the snake hunt. Got a little joyful. Yes. Not too many. This is,
4, 5, 10.
yeah, probably 4 or 5. I've done it outdoors, like with ferns, other things growing around. Yes, yeah, it kind of, it depends on the time and and how sort of sensitive or closely I'm looking. But sometimes even as sensitive as I have my gear, they're just, it's not necessarily all the time.
When the plants are in the ground,
Yes,
and they still do the same thing.
yes, Yes,
That's amazing.
yeah. So, yeah, I have batteries and things and take it out in the woods and, yeah, well, that's what this first picture is, yeah. Me in the forest with the ferns. Fungus too, mushrooms are very active. A lot going on, very exciting in their own way.
Yeah.
Yes,
So how would you, this is a synthesizer, right?
that we're hearing, yes,
You're hearing.
yeah.
And so how would you play it normally? Like how, if you wanted to play play a tune on a synthesizer?
Sure.
How would you do it?
Yes, there are a few ways. Synthesizers, by definition, I suppose, are electronic signal generators. In that there are several components, but basically it's generating a sound, right? And then that sound, it's controlled by electricity. So you might play it by a keyboard. But I can also, that's also what some of this stuff is. You'll all have to come take a look towards the end or on your way out. But this small unit over here is kind of what's handling, listening to the plant and generating the sounds of the plant. But of course, then I can, because it's all electricity, all voltages, I can send that information over here and use it to make other music. So in short, you could play a synthesizer with a keyboard, but there are other ways to,
It just needs an electronic input
Yes,
of some sort.
yes,
and then it
exactly.
produces the sound.
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
You mentioned a term. I mean, it sounds a bit like a term. It's a field thing, right? So.
Yes.
Field senses electromagnetic field changes, right?
That's right.
Is that what that is doing? Are you?
No, different
No.
technology. Yeah. Oh, so the theremin is an early electronic instrument. And I don't have anything prepared, but you'll have to look it up, or, go home and Google theremin. So what's similar is the way the sound is generated, or the synthesizer portion. That's creating basically square waves, or and let's see. How can we give you just a square wave? We find some wires. So we're gonna listen to just a raw square wave. So that's a very low one. So at its core, that is, well, it's what we call an oscillator, right? So it's electrically oscillating, creating this signal. And so the theremin is an early electronic music instrument that's controlled by its capacitance, right? And so there are antennas, and it has to do with changing the capacitance to control both the pitch and the volume of the instrument. Should find a video to explain it better. Yes, yeah. Woo. Every horror movie, alien sounds, it's that sound. And so I use it as a comparison because sort of tonally, that synthesizer sound at its core is the same. Yeah.
How do you interpret or translate the sounds you get to your keyboard performance?
With my ear. Yeah. So that's the me on the edge of my seat part of the of the program, right? Is that so? It's a whole range of pitches or notes that the plants are putting out. But then I can choose to some degree. I can keep those notes in a musical range, right? They're not entirely random pitches. It's what we call quantizing. And the idea is that we're sort of rounding it to the closest musically pleasing note. So that helps.
It sounded like the sound was becoming the same note on the keyboard.
Yes. And so that's me just listening and saying, I think it's playing an A. I'm going to go there too. And then kind of, so often when we're starting, I listen, let the plant go. And then I sort of imitate it a little bit, follow it a little. And then see what else can suggest and see if it goes with me or not, you know? My friend up front.
Can you make it with flowers?
Yes, that's a really good idea. It'd be nice. It'd be even more beautiful on stage. Max?
The colors there that show up with the plants, do those mean, or do they signify different electrical signals, or are they just kind of for the aesthetic of the plants when they pop up with that green, red, and blue?
Yes, I'm working on that.
Mm.
Basically, they don't necessarily mean anything. When the plant is playing, they swell up, but as to which one is turning on, doesn't mean anything yet. Each one responds to kind of a higher or lower voltage than the others. But that's sort of what I'm working on for the next piece, is to have a more visual indication of what's happening in addition to what you're hearing.
So when you had the raw sound of the plant, it was constant noise or sound. And then when you were playing, it was much more intermittent
Yes.
because of your sensitivity.
Yes, and so what we're doing is, the sensitivity is basically saying how much change needs to happen in that raw sound to trigger a new note. So when it's pretty much constant, that means the plant kind of plays one note and then stops. And we're kind of waiting until there's a change, depending on how sensitive or how closely we're listening, will determine how frequently that change comes. You know, if our sensitivity is low, then that might deviate and, you know, nothing ever happened. Yes.
So do you find that if you're playing around with your music and you're trying to entice them to play for you, if you play like a discord, do they react to that? Or if you play really loud, do they get quiet?
Should we find out?
Yeah.
Which plant?
Let's do the first one, because that one was a little more active.
Yeah.
The snake plant was kind of in its own world. Let's see what
Go
happens.
back to the philodendron.
The philodendron. Oh, yeah, see, it's already
It's
reacting.
already lighting up. Gotta turn it back on. I unplugged it. Maybe I'll try something kind of discordant, ugly.
Let's see how it reacts. Yeah, you sound like my grandson. I don't think it likes it.
It's not singing quite as much as we were earlier.
Don't like it. So I'm just wondering how they would react to it.
I think it's a good question, an interesting question. Yes.
Are you famous?
I don't know, some people know me. That I would really like to know. Unfortunately, I only have the means of hooking up one, but that's later. I have a slide that's like, what could we do with this? You know, let's do that in a minute. But yeah, wouldn't it be interesting to do multiple plants or a whole forest, or to see, you know, yeah, if they communicate or play together, or so that's kind of further down the road for me, but yeah. So let's back up. Would anyone like to come touch the plant? That's the part. We'll just see what happens. A little more. Different notes.
Daddy, cry.
Come on, Papa.
Just playing with you. What'd you notice when you touched it? Or when you saw?
Hmm.
I didn't get any electric spark.
Yeah. What did you notice? It said goodbye. Yeah.
It said goodbye to you.
I think it likes you.
You really get-
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost as if it knew that nobody here was gonna hurt it.
Hmm.
Because it was playing, it was like reacting to the kids, especially the kids. It was like
Yeah,
playing like a little game with them.
yes, yeah. And sometimes it wouldn't do much when you were touching, but then when you walked away, it would go da-ba-da-ba.
But if the- I mean, I don't want to.
All right.
Yes, no, I have not. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Good job. I mean, that's the Cleve Baxter fellow that I spoke of in the beginning. That was, he said yes, you know, that it does respond and change both when the plant's being harmed or threat of harm or the presence of fire in the room.
Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe, you know, I mean, I think they sense all those things. Are aware of the environment that way.
What would happen if I take my knife and cut my?
Yeah,
Bleeding.
I think it would scream.
Oh.
I was like, this is an interesting social experiment, isn't it? Sadistic enough to. But maybe we won't go there tonight. Yeah, so these are some of the things that I get excited about when I'm doing this, because there's kind of the interesting scientific element, but at a certain point, it gets into, well, we don't know, or it doesn't always act the same way. You know, or I can't guarantee that it's gonna play a certain song or a sequence of pitches or even anything at all. So that's part of what's exciting about it for me, is that mystery in this collaboration. And I just think it's a really interesting kind of paradox, which I've written here, but this technology, which on one hand asks so much of the earth and the resources of the earth, but it's also a way that we can listen more closely, I think, to the living world around us and sort of go forward a little bit more thoughtfully and responsibly. I think it changes your experience of the world when you start to know that this is going on in plants, in all the living, every single living plant around us. This is happening, this internal communication, and of course, root systems and those like communications on a larger scale.
Right on.
That's on my list. That's on, yeah.
Tree. How
Yeah.
about a tree with the bark?
Yes, I don't know yet.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
tallest tree. I believe trees will talk to one another.
Yeah,
But
well,
yeah.
yes, I mean, that has been shown scientifically that they do communicate through root systems over large expanses and forests. So I think it'd be really neat to musicalize it,
Yeah,
you know, and to hear that as a way of connecting to, you know, what is really going on
Yeah.
in nature, yeah.
did you get into this?
That's a good question. I mean, I think probably I was reading online and found out about this technology. And so this, over here, this fellow, Sam Cusimano is I think he's one of the original folks that, took this lie detector technology and musicalized it, right? And so I heard about him and the work that he was doing. And he's done like, installations in museums where there are multiple plants and they just leave it on and it changes as you walk around and people walk by and things like that. One thing I wanted to show, because I felt like we should have some sort of data. This is some data that he gathered with two different plants. The top one is a Monstera plant and the bottom one is our friend the snake plant. And so this is over 16 hours of just tracking the changes in the plant with this technology. And so I think it's most interesting to just look at on a large scale. And you see that over this 16-hour period, there are these waves and fluctuations and changes. And so in some sense, maybe to really understand or feel what's happening in the plant, we have to somehow experience it over a longer period of time than we are in just this moment. Because, yes, let me see. So right here, this is the first 2 hours worth. So it's kind of in 2-hour segments, you can see it. But it's interesting, in both, you see how it fluctuates throughout the course of the day.
What is your background?
Music, yeah. So, yeah, in short, music. Yes,
So now you are a scientific musicologist.
right, put it on my resume. Oops, I guess that's the end. Oh yeah, I'm gonna play a little song at the end. But in our, oh, it's 7:59. So any final questions?
Considered, having this kind of presentation for school children.
Yes, yes, yeah, and,
I don't think people could hear me.
oh, okay. Yes, the question was, have you considered having this kind of presentation for school children? And yes, and I have done this with school. That's my other ego and or
Mr.
job. I'm Mr. Aaron. Yeah. So yeah, I do music for kids. That's my full-time job. And so I've done this in schools. And one thing we like to do is listen to the plant, touch the plant, and then make a song with the plant. It's singing.
My daughter-in-law just goes through it.
Oh, nice. So you have to put us in that. Yes. All right. Yes.
Were you inspired when you watched the movie Avatar? You watched Avatar?
Yes. Yeah.
Like the connectivity of the trees.
Yes.
And-
Yes. Like similar themes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of my mission and my meditation when we're listening to this music, is what's my place and how do I relate and how do I connect in this whole interconnected system that we are a small piece of. Yeah. Any other? If that's it for questions, I'll play a little bit more. As I play, you're welcome to come up and kind of take a look at all this stuff. And I know it's getting on time to go to the planetarium and all those things. But so I'll just play some exit music. But thank you all so much.
So I'm gonna go and get the planetarium